Hello everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the 21 Days to a Stronger Core Challenge. Today we're going to focus on our transverse abdominis muscles one more time before we start to move into some of the other muscle groups. And we're going to do some exercises that we've done in the past as well as a couple of new ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you an option. We're going to begin with that breathing exercise where we kind of focus on the hip bones, lifting towards the lower ribs, and then exhaling, 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 holding at the very bottom of the exhale for about 5 seconds. And then you'll inhale and just do that a few times. You could do that lying on your back with the feet flat to the mat, your knees bent pointing up. Or if it's okay on your knees and your ankles, I'm going to ask you to sit down on your heels just like this. Now, if this is not comfortable, but it's not too terribly horrible, you can also slide a yoga block if you have one, or maybe a couple of books in between your ankles and sit on that. Otherwise, if it's possible, sit on the heels, okay? So if you're lying on your back, you're simply going to do the same thing we did before, where you place one of your fingers, your index or middle fingers, right on the frontal hip bones, and your thumbs on the lower ribs. You'll inhale. We'll do this together, and then you'll exhale, draw those two together, and then hold it, okay? Now, if you're sitting like I am, I want you to imagine you're doing the same thing, but this time you're going to place one hand right on your lower belly, and then you'll place the other hand, the back of the hand, right on the lower back area, right on the sacral area. And then what I want you to imagine is when you exhale that your lower belly and your sacrum are moving together. So it kind of creates the same action, just a different awareness. And I find that this is really useful because this is an exercise you can do standing up. So you can do this a few times a day, especially if you feel that you have low back stuff going on because of weak transverse abdominis muscles, okay? So either on your back or sitting on your heels. If you're sitting on the heels, rest your right hand on your lower belly, just below the navel, and then place the back of your left hand right on that bony plate in the lower back. Now, just for a moment, let the pelvis tip forward and back, and you can do this lying down, kind of let the pelvis tip up and down, so you just kind of feel the movement there, and then see if you can kind of create what I call a neutral pelvis. So the pelvis isn't tipping forward or back, it's just kind of right in its center. And that helps get the spine's natural curves to be present, okay? Now take a nice big breath in. Let's just breathe normally for a moment. And then exhale all the breath out. Do that one more time. Inhale slow. And exhale. All right, let's start to do the breath retention. So inhale deeply. Now as you exhale, draw the belly towards the spine, and if you're sitting, feel your lower back pressing into the spine as well. Hold it at the very bottom of the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale slowly. Now exhale, 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 and same thing. So if you're lying on your back, hip points move towards the lower ribs. Otherwise, pubic bone and sacrum move together. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's try 3 more times. Inhale. And then exhale, exhale, exhale. Again, when you think you're empty, keep breathing out as much as you can, and then hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. And exhale. Exhale all the breath out. Draw the navel back, back, back towards your spine. Hold it for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, 1. Last time. Inhale. Now exhale. See if you can really empty out. When you feel like you're empty, press a little more breath out, and then hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Go ahead and release this. Shake out your wrists a little bit. And then if you're in your tabletop pose, or sorry, sitting on your heels, come into a tabletop pose. and just stretch a leg back, and then the other just to kind of release the backs of the knees. If you're on your back, you can take a full body stretch and then hug the knees into the chest for a few breaths. And then we're all going to meet lying down on our backs. So shift your hips to one side if you're sitting or on your tabletop pose, and then lie down on your back. And we'll start with the feet on the floor and the knees bent, pointing up. Okay. So now we're going to do a different exercise. So it's going to look very similar to the dead bug that we did as far as the legs go, but we're going to do something else. Now, go ahead and lift your feet off the floor so your knees are bent and your shin bones are about parallel to the floor, okay? Now, take your hands behind your head and interlace your fingers as if you're about to do a little sit-up, okay? Now, take a big breath in here. Now, as you exhale, lift your shoulder blades off the floor, and I want you to keep the head leaning back. Now, I want you to do here is, on your inhale, coil your tailbone up, and it's a very subtle movement, so the belly presses down. Stay there as you exhale. See if you can lift a little bit more. Okay, then one more inhale. Now, as you exhale, let the tailbone drop, and let your head drop. All right, take a big breath in. Now, as you exhale, lift your shoulder blades off the floor. Keep your elbows wide. Good. Now, coil your tailbone off the floor as you inhale. Stay here as you exhale. So the tailbone's lifted. It feels like you're tucked here. One more breath in. Now, lower the tailbone and lower the head. Take a big inhale here. Now, exhale, lift your head and shoulders. Inhale, coil the tailbone off the floor. So you can barely see what I'm doing, but you feel it. Stay there as you exhale. Good. One more breath in. Now lower the tail and lower the head. Let's try two more. Inhale. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders. Now go ahead, coil the tailbone up. So it's a slight tuck. Stay there as you exhale, belly to the spine. One more inhale. Now lower the tail and lower the head. Last time, big breath in. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders. Now coil the tailbone off the mat as you inhale, just a little bit. Stay there as you exhale. You don't need to do too much here. One more breath in. Now let the tailbone drop, let the head drop, and then place the feet on the floor. Good. Now once your feet are on the mat, reach your arms back for a moment. Extend the legs forward. Circle your wrists and your ankles a few times. Okay. And then hug both knees into your chest. And then once you've hugged your knees into your chest, give yourself a little squeeze, a little bit of a rock from side to side. And then if you can, grab the backs of your legs, rock up and down. And eventually we're going to make our way back into a tabletop position. So I'm going to fix my hair real quick and then come on to all fours. Now, if you have knee sensitivity, feel free to place a blanket underneath your knees or a towel. And let's just do a couple of leg extensions first. So take a couple of breaths moving through cat and cow pose. If you're not familiar with this, the cow pose, your belly drops, the heart moves forward, and the sitting bones lift. And then the cat pose, you round your back as you tuck the tail and let your head drop. So you're doming the upper back. And then just do it a few more times. Again, feeling the movement of the pelvis, tipping forward or down and then lifting. Good. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Okay. Good. Now come back to what I call a neutral spine. So for this, you're lifting the belly button. The shoulders are moving away from the neck and the heart is reaching forward. Now tuck both of your toes and then hover the knees off the floor. So we did this yesterday, and just breathe here for a little bit. Now, if you need to take some breaks, okay? Try not to let the back round too much. So keep the arms plugged into the shoulders and keep that strong lift through the lower belly so you feel length in the sacrum, but at the same time, the sternum is moving forward. Stay here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the knees, untuck the toes, and then rest in child's pose for a moment. So shift the hips towards the heels. You can let your forehead relax on the floor or use your arms like a little pillow. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Okay, come back to a tabletop position. Good. So now we're going to do a little bit of a challenging sequence. We're going to move from plank pose into forearm plank and then back to plank pose, and we're going to alternate which arm drops first and which arm presses down first. So if plank and forearm plank, if that transition feels a little bit challenging for you today, you're going to set up like you're coming into plank pose. So shoulders under the wrists, shoulders above the wrists, legs are extended back, and then you'll just gently drop the knees straight down. So your knees are behind your hips. And then you'll do this with the knees on the floor, okay? So lowering, lowering, and then lifting, lifting, and then lowering, lowering. Now, if you have pretty good arm and shoulder strength, you'll do that with the legs straight and lifted off the floor, okay? We're going to try it a few times. Now, keep in mind when you're doing this, you really want to feel that connection between the hip bones and the lower ribs, that you want to keep your chin lifted so you're not collapsing in the shoulders, okay? We won't do this too much, but just a little bit just to see how it feels. So make your way into the plank pose, and then drop your knees if you need to. Remember, if you're in the plank, you want to work those legs, and then don't look back, look slightly forward. Now breathe in. Now start by lowering your left forearm and then your right forearm. Now press your left hand down and bring your right hand to the floor. So back to plank. Now exhale, lower the right forearm and the left forearm. Now press the right hand down and left hand next to right hand. Exhale, lower the left forearm and the right forearm. Inhale, press the left hand down and the right hand down. Try to keep the pelvis stable. And then lower the right forearm and the left forearm. One more time on each side. Press the left hand down and the right hand down. Lower the left forearm and the right forearm. Good. Now lower the right hand and then the left hand. And then lower the right forearm and the left forearm. Now stay here in the forearm plank for a moment. Bring your legs together. Move your right hand a little closer to your left wrist. Keep that lift through the belly. Move into a forearm side plank. So forearm side plank, if you need to, drop the bottom knee or both knees. Otherwise, try to stack your feet. Try to stack your ankles, your hips. Keep the hip bones and the lower ribs moving together, but keep the sternum moving forward. Take an inhale. Now come back to forearm plank. Hover in the forearm plank, and then we'll switch sides. So turn the left hand towards the right wrist, and then reach the right arm up. Hover here for another moment or two. Continue to breathe, slow and steady, in and out through the nose if you can. Firm the muscles of the legs together. Take one more inhale, flex those feet. Now lower the right forearm down, come back to forearm plank. Take one more breath here. Lower the pelvis to the floor, untuck your toes. Sphinx pose. Slide the forearms in front of you, and then just a little gentle lift of the chest. This should feel quite nice. Take a deep breath in, and a nice long breath out. One more time, inhale, and exhale. Now lower yourself to the mat, place your hands under the shoulders, press up into a tabletop position, and then come back to child's pose. So send the hips towards the heels, let your forehead relax, either on the mat or make a pillow with your hands. Deep breath in, and a deep breath out. One more time, inhale, and exhale. Okay, we got one more exercise left. This one we're going to do in forearm plank or plank. I'm going to recommend forearm plank for this one. It's actually a little more challenging. So we're going to set up in a forearm plank, and then we're going to do alternating leg lifts, okay? Now here's what will most likely happen to a lot of us. We focus on lifting the leg as much as we can, and then everything in the core kind of dumps down. So I don't want you to think so much about height. I want you to keep the leg real firm, but as you lift the leg, keep moving the hip bones towards the lower ribs. so the belly stays nice and firm, okay? Even if you're only lifting the leg like an inch. So set yourself up, coming into forearm plank. You can do this with your forearms parallel. To make it a little easier on the shoulders, I find it's helpful to interlace the fingers instead. Now start to extend the legs back, and then press the heels towards the back of the mat. Lift your belly and lift your chin. Now take an inhale. Good. Now exhale, lift your right leg. Hover as you breathe in. Keep the hips low. Exhale, lower the right foot. Stay here as you inhale. Now lift your left leg without letting the pelvis tip down. Keep the hip bones moving forward. Inhale. Lower the left leg. Inhale again. Exhale, lift the right leg. Hover. Big breath in. Lower the right foot. Take another inhale. Exhale, lift the left leg. Big breath in. Lower the left foot. We got one more on each side, okay? Reset if you need to. Inhale. Lift the right leg. Another inhale. Exhale, lower the right foot. Inhale again. Exhale, lift the left leg. Keep the hip points moving forward. Inhale. Exhale, lower the left foot. One final breath in. And gently lower the pelvis. Point your toes. And then move back to a Sphinx pose. Press the forearms down, lift your chest. Take a deep breath in. Open your mouth and let it go. All right. Lower yourself down. Come back into a tabletop position. And then one more time, rest in child's pose. Send the hips towards the heels. Let your forehead relax. Okay, so that's it for today. Day 3. Tomorrow we'll move on to some other core muscle groups, but we're always going to be thinking about those transverse abdominis muscles. If you're on my Patreon, you'll continue to get emails. If you're seeing this on my YouTube channel, this is the last class that I'm sharing there. If you want to continue to practice the 21 days, you'll have to sign up to my Patreon, become a $10 subscriber. It's a monthly subscription. You can cancel anytime. And the website is patreon.com/Chrissy Loves Yoga. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.